Hello, and welcome back to Owens Bay. Viewers suggested that I should do some more aerial shots of the city, and they're absolutely right. It's something I don't do a lot of. I tend to spend more of my time looking through the landscape than down at it. What you're looking at below here is the last 3 months of work. We're flying directly above Raven's Run right now, and we are about to pass over Bosman's Botanical Gardens down below. Now, the whole backstory I came up with for this area kind of naturally suggested its own name for that little village down there, and it's going to be known as Bosman's Mill. Thank you for everybody who submitted some suggestions. They were all really good. Below here is Sasquatch National Park, and over here in the distance is the city of New Sunderland, which is going to be the focus of several upcoming episodes as I fix all of the issues down there. And there are a lot of issues. Right below us here is the newly named district of the Bluffs, which will be detailed out in this episode. And we're just going to circle around here back to where we're going to begin our first detailing project for this episode. Right down here, the area coming into view right now. My name is Gyves, and let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna be filling in a whole bunch of transitional zones right at the edge of the town of Farwell. These are areas I haven't finished yet, and just before we move back into a larger city, I just want to tie up a few loose ends here. So the very first thing I'm going to be putting in is a big box retail outlet at the edge of the town. For this, I'm going to be using the muscle car garage from the San Francisco set. Now, not everybody has access to this asset, but I couldn't really ever figure out why it was a muscle car garage, but it actually does bear a very good resemblance to a big box hardware store. Maybe not quite large enough. Overall, I think it works really well, and that's what I'm going to use it for down here. This build's going to be pretty quick. Not super detailed, but detailed enough that it looks good from the sky. I didn't necessarily want buildings in this location. I didn't need the traffic over here, so I'm just going to use some prop buildings for that spot there. There was a bit of a hill here I didn't notice from looking above, and I had to figure out a way to accommodate it, and the raised parking lot worked pretty good. Of course, with box hardware like that, it would have a little nursery attached to it, garden center, where people could go to pick up their bedding plants, their tomatoes in the springtime, that sort of thing. Nothing too fancy, just the basics. So yeah, I just cleared out all the junk from the back here, and it looks like a lumber yard to me. So we're gonna treat it as such. Sometimes I find these transitional areas between cities or edges of the towns and such to be probably some of the more interesting areas to detail. It's trying to blend it out, so to speak, so everything just kind of like flows together in a way that makes sense. And right next to the lumber yard, we're gonna have an empty lot. So exciting. You know, transitional area, there's lots of empty lots. And I've been noticing people using this particular technique with the gravel edge for the road net lane. And I'm going to use it down here to create paths. And these read so well from a distance. I just love these, and they're perfect for these weird little areas where, you know, you don't know quite what the land's being used for or why it's there, but you have these paths cutting through it. Obviously people, you know, there's things happening down there, and it's great to see it. Other thing you find on the edges of towns are classic 1980s style subdivisions. I thought these houses really fit the bill for that kind of generic 1980s style. There are several in the, there's one in the UK set that just screams out for that. Unfortunately, it's on a very large lot, but if it's just a house, it would tick so many boxes, but unfortunately that's not the case. These are from the Japanese set, and I'm just going to delete off all the extra bits. I don't, you know, for the area I'm trying to replicate, stone fences aren't really, you know, a big thing. And this is a fairly well-maintained little neighborhood in here. On the top of the hill here, I wanted to put in something a little special, so I had to put in an access road. And in putting in the access road, it kind of created the opportunity to create just a very tiny little collection of homes along the roadside here as you drive up the hill. In last week's episode, obviously I was detailing the historic estate for the Bosman family, and that got me thinking about living conditions for the mega rich in the city. And this seemed like a perfect opportunity to create one up here on the hill. Wonderful views of the valley and Sasquatch National Park from here. Here, part of my neighborhood burns down because there's no fire coverage. But yeah, for up here, this seemed like an ideal location for one of the mega rich. This isn't the Bosman family. I did say in last week's episode that they relocated to oceanfront property, so that's not here. So this is somebody else, and I don't really have any idea who they are quite yet. I'm still working on how I'm going to deal with this. I think I might attach the the mega rich families to businesses and industries in town. But I have to give that a little more thought. And I'm pretty sure so far this might be the largest private property I've put on the map. The Bosman estate might be larger overall, but it's like a tourist attraction. This is the private property down here. So I think this is the largest one. Now, for the ultra rich, the reason they bought the property was the amazing views, and these trees are too high, so I have to redraw them. Fully mature trees down along the river and the road, and then slightly younger ones a little higher up so they don't obstruct the view. This faded out with oaks and London planes sunk into the ground to represent bushes and stuff. It turns out looking really, really nice, and the views from here are really spectacular. I have no sympathy that they're complaining about the high rent. I'm using the larger net lane paths here to create a patio surface and some custom walkways around the property. I do believe this is the first private tennis court in the whole city right now. I wanted a building to act as a garage. Unfortunately, there aren't a lot of options. The Hearst garage is very nice looking. Unfortunately, I can't change any of the surfaces to match the house or vice versa, so it's a bit of a mismatch. It doesn't look that bad. Using the plants from the California pack here for the landscaping, just a bit more variety in color. The main detailing trick for this area is just using a large variety of plants to create the illusion of a manicured private garden. I thought it would be fun just to add this random house right down by the river here, just all by itself. This is essentially a tale of two trailer parks down below here. This one right here is the good trailer park. I don't know if those houses are actually trailers, but they're close enough that they played the part fairly well. This might be a small retirement community or something like that. The land right beside the river, you know, for property values, probably not the most desirable locations. You know, rivers on occasion do flood and stuff, so it's made a good choice for trailer parks, I thought. For the not so good trailer park, trailer assets that come with the game unfortunately come tied to these lots that don't line to the roads properly and you can't pack them in, so this one's just going to be some props. And of course, they're going to cut for a field to get to the road. I'm not going to detail this up too much. I'm just going to use a few surfaces here to kind of give the impressions of the things I need. Mostly just the mud decal here to kind of break up the grass so it doesn't look like it's well maintained or anything like that. And one last house along the highway as you're leaving town. This path looks really, really cool with the grass stain as well. It really kind of fades it in there really nice. Okay, this is the area known as the Bluffs, above the highway. I should have spinned this one off as its own episode. This took a little longer than I was anticipating. It's probably the nicest area on the map right now, to be honest. Now, I didn't want to obliterate the landscapes by flattening them out completely, so I'm doing this kind of like terraced effect with the houses to kind of like step them up the hillside. Houses that actually interact with hills better than they do would be ideal, but this is a good compromise until we have assets that actually can do that. You could do it with the prop houses, but I want these to be functional. I don't want props up here. We're just going to put in a pedestrian overpass here to allow these people to easy access to the downtown. The downtown of Farwell is not that far of a walk from the Bluffs. It's just you have the highway there. So giving them some access is perfect. Also allows I think this hooks up almost directly with the high school. So the kids up there can walk to school. I'm going to be taking a bit of creative license with this particular district. I'm getting a little, let's say, fir tree fatigued might be a good way to describe it. To be true to the region, though, I could literally blanket the entire map in fir trees and call it a day, and that would be okay. I want to, mix up a bit here. So we're going to be replicating a landscape here that doesn't necessarily belong on the coast. You might find this more farther inland, but not necessarily here. But it turned out it's like I said, I think it might be one of the best districts I've detailed so far. Most of that detailing is going to be the trees. What I'm aiming for up here is a slightly drier environment, a little more grasslands, so more bushes. I do edit this bit down quite a bit, and the reason is a lot of it is very repetitive. Planting of the trees is not the most exciting thing after you've seen it a few times. Same for like stripping off the props and drawing in the yards and stuff. Showing examples of it here, but it's just rinse and repeat pretty much for the entire neighborhood. I also want to keep it a little more open so you can actually see these neighborhoods from the highway, the rapid transit, the rail line, that sort of thing. I want to break up a bit of the monotony of the grass here, so we're going to be using some of Sully's textures. Right here I'm using their riverbed one. And I'm depicting this region in late summer, so these hillsides are probably going to be all dried grass, and we're going to use the sand surfaces to replicate that. In their end, there turns out to be a lot of really nice properties up here. This would be a very desirable area to live. You're close to Farwell, you're close to New Sunderland, you're close to rapid transit. You know, you can get around from this location and still have amazing views. The style of houses that I chose for this area don't necessarily represent that. It's not like a super rich area. But if we, think about it a little farther out into the future, it definitely could turn into that. But right now, it's probably mid to high range homes, but not the ultra rich by any means. I'm going to use a series of paths to help people cut through the neighborhoods here. This allows people over at this section of the Bluffs to be able to walk over to the pedestrian bridge to get to the other side fairly easy. And I have to clean up the mess I made here when I first built this neighborhood. I just threw it in really fast and it's pretty brutal. So I have to play the landscape a bit, make some adjustments so it makes a little more visual sense and not such a mess. At this point, I decided I needed to extend the neighborhood a little farther along the highway. The main reason for doing this is just visual interest, really. It allows me to place some houses here high above the actual highway, which it's quite a dramatic view from up here. These properties would be developed into something. Like, people would want to build houses up here just because of the unobstructed view of the valley area, even though they're going to be exposed to a lot of highway noise. Okay, the dogs in this game get really nuts. I believe this guy has like 8 dogs. I mean, what's going on there? Like, what is that? I have to repair some of the damage I did to the hillside here to make it look a little more natural. I really just butchered it in here when it came in the first time. Thought it was time to give this a little name. This is Beaver Creek Ecological Reserve. Right beside the rapid transit depot, there was an empty lot, and I didn't really want to put anything down here. It's not suitable for residential, obviously. I'm just going to put in a prop here, like a little prop construction, to represent the maintenance yard for the actual physical track. We have a depot to maintain the trains, but we don't have anything that actually maintains the physical track the trains run on. So that's what this is. It was a last minute thought. I didn't put a huge amount of effort into it. It's essentially just to fill in the space with something, so it looks like something's going on there. Like I said, it's not really a chunk of land I really wanted to put any buildings on. I do include a bit of commercial down here just so the residents in this location have somewhere to shop, just a few shops. There are not that many people here, so they don't need a lot of shops. Aerial view of the entire area. That's what's been built so far. This took a surprisingly large number of trees to get this effect. Far more trees than I was planning on planting here. It even, I think, affects the game speed when I pass over this area now. I haven't really noticed any huge issues with so many trees, and I've put down a lot of trees. This might be the first time where actually it's something like, maybe something's going on here. Now, this is where this whole, like, the Bluffs really comes together, when I start drawing in the dry grass on the hillsides here and using Sully's sand textures to replicate that. The decals, transition decals, to kind of like blend it in a bit. It's a little rough, but I think this is probably my best attempt at this sort of detailing so far. And it just transforms this entire district into something like a very unique landscape. This is totally a unique landscape right now for my map. I don't have any other area in the map that looks like this, which is great. And then, of course, with that success, I wanted to try to expand. Like, how far could I expand this? Like, how much can I actually do with this? And I really like the results from this. And I think that turned out great. Like I said, that might be one of my more. I think that's might be one of the more realistic locations I've built so far. I have a little elementary school here, right at the very edge. It's just really to serve the locals. We also have a housing development that's going to be put in there at a later date, so there's definitely going to be a population there that can utilize that. I didn't complete the area as much as I wanted to. I have to come back in here. There is a housing development, office park that's coming in here soon. So I do have to come back here to work on those at some point. But for the most part, the southern end of the map is mostly complete. There are a couple things I want to come back, and a few specialty buildings I want to put in at some point. But I don't think I need to do much more down here for some time. And it's really time to get back into the main cities and do a bit of work in there. Over the next few episodes, I'm going to be moving back into New Sunderland. I haven't touched it since I built it. It's the starter city. It's in desperate need of a bit of an upgrade. There's a lot of issues down there. There's a lot of issues in the what are passing now for the city centers. They're not well built. I'll just say that. And I need to do a lot of work on them. Anyway, that brings us to the end of this episode. If you stuck around to the very end, thank you so much. I really do appreciate people who watch to the end. It's great you're still here. So thank you. And I'll see everyone next episode. Bye.